please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
कि सस्ते ब्याज, सस्ते रुपए, सस्ते पैसे, सस्ते डॉलर का ज़माना बीत रहा है। और जब आप 30 साल के ट्रेंड की बात करते हैं तो आपको ऐसे एक्सपर्ट की ज़रूरत होती है जिसने बाजार को कम से कम 50 साल से समझ रखा हो, देख रखा हो। और हमारे साथ सिंगापुर से कमोडिटी गुरु जिम रॉजर्स जुड़ रहे हैं। मिस्टर रॉजर्स, गुड मॉर्निंग. Let me translate in English for you what I just mentioned, that since we are talking about a long-term trend reversal, maybe in terms of cost of money, we should be speaking to an expert like you who has seen markets for several decades. What's your view? Do you also agree that the era of cheap money is probably getting over?
No, there's no question about that. You will see higher interest rates over the next few years. In fact, interest rates will go much, much higher over the next decade. So if you're worried about that, you better lock in money now.
Do you think that means we have probably seen a top for all risk assets, including equities?
Well, we've certainly seen a top for the bond market. There's no question about that. Bonds will be going lower for many years to come. We will see probably a rally in stocks after the Federal Reserve raises interest rates in March. Depending on how that rally is, then I would suspect that later this year, you should be out of stocks completely in most parts of the world.
Also, Jim, because you closely track oil, do you think that oil has also topped out? And people were talking about $70 mark. But do you think that now the rally in oil will also be difficult?
Well, oil is in the process of making a complicated bottom. We will look back someday and say in 2015, 16, 17, 18, oil traced out a bottom. We haven't seen the low yet. We haven't seen the high yet, nor the low. It's a complicated pattern. You know how charts look. But eventually, we're going to see higher prices of oil, maybe 2019, 2020.
So you are still bullish on oil. You don't think this current sell-off that we have seen in risk assets is going to affect oil that much?
Well, eventually, everything will have to go down. If the world comes to an end, yes, everything will go down. But remember, known reserves of oil are in decline all over the world except for fracking. And the fracking bubble is no longer, you cannot just spell bubble and spell fracking and get more money. So the frackers even are having to slow down. So supplies are under duress worldwide for oil.
Since you have been tracking India, and in India we have recently given our budget, and in budget long-term capital gains tax was announced. What is your view on that? And people like you, are you still bullish on India, or you'll stay back?
Well, India is a country which needs capital, and whenever you tax something, you have less of it. I mean, whether it's sugar or cars or clothes or whatever. So putting on capital gains in India, in my mind, is a mistake. It's going to make it more difficult for India to attract capital, both domestically and internationally. Mr. Modi has made a mistake as far as I'm concerned, but I'm not Indian. I don't vote there, so he doesn't have to listen to me.
Yeah, but would you like to put your money into Indian equities at this point of time?
No, because I'm worried about the world. It's been 9 years since we had a bear market, and that historically is unusual. It's very unusual. Usually have bear markets every 4 to 7 or 8 years. We don't have to, but we always have. So I would imagine a bear market will come sometime in the next year or two. Will start sometime in the next year or two, and it's going to be the worst in our lifetime. 2008 was bad because of too much debt. Well, the debt is much, much higher everywhere in the world now.
Where will you put your money now? If you want to allocate your money, where will you put your money then?
Well, today I will probably be buying agricultural index, because agriculture is depressed. We've had a long period of good weather everywhere. Agriculture is very depressed. So today, in fact, if I weren't speaking to you, or maybe when I hang up, I will be putting in orders for more agricultural index.
And gold, what about gold, sir? Since there'll be a fall in equities, do you think gold will outperform, or do you think gold will also underperform now?
I own a lot of gold, but I'm not buying gold. If gold goes down a lot in the sell-off that's coming in the next few months or year, I hope I'm smart enough to buy a lot of gold if it gets cheap. Because before this is over, whenever people lose you lose confidence in money and governments, they buy gold and silver. Whether they should or not is irrelevant. They do. So I hope I buy a lot of gold later this year or next.
You know, the key driver in 2017 for commodities as well as emerging market stocks was dollar, because dollar declined by almost 15%. What's your view there now? In 2018, how is dollar going to behave?
I would buy dollars but with people looking for some place to put money, agriculture and dollars. When there's turmoil, people look for a safe haven. They think the U.S. dollar is a safe haven. It's not. America is the largest debtor nation in the history of the world, but people think it's a safe haven. So I would buy dollars or agriculture.
If you are buying dollar and if you think dollar will depreciate over 2018, does that also mean commodities, base metal and steel and other metals may come under pressure, and emerging markets will also see some kind of outflows in terms of foreign investments?
Yes, as I said, I think the dollar, I would be buying U.S. dollars as a safe haven and agriculture. I will buy gold later, speaking of metals, silver and gold later if they go down, which I expect.
I'd like to butt in one more question, sir, for you, Bob, and that is rate hikes in US. Some are saying it will be 3 rate hikes. Some are saying that there may be 4 rate hikes. What is your view? And do you think 10-year bond yields not going beyond 3%, or there are chances of going beyond that as well?
They will certainly raise interest rates in March. That may lead to a big rally around the world because people will think that the news is behind us. The second or third rate hike in the U.S. will then lead to problems in the markets, at which point the American Central Bank will panic. When things start getting bad, the bureaucrats and the academics in Washington will get worried, and then they will give up and they will try to do something to save the market. They will cut rates or buy bonds or something trying to save the market. There will be another rally, but that rally will not work because eventually the market's going to say it's too late. The market has more money than the central banks. And all of this absurd money printing for the past 10 years is going to cost us all a lot in the end.
You're saying that market will stay weak until Fed's next policy, and that is March, and the rates will be hiked in March. Am I right, sir?
That's what I expect. I said the markets will be sloppy. They won't necessarily they won't go down every day or 4 out of 5 days or something. But the markets will be sloppy until the Federal Reserve raises interest rates. People will then say, the news is out, we can buy. There will be a rally on the news.
Well, thanks a lot, Mr. Rogers, for taking time out for us. Jim Rogers